MA Final, Paper 4th, Unit C. It is in continuation. And we were discussing the metaphor of movement. And when we talk about movement, see, it denotes observation, process, various steps, stages, and then that lead to achievement in all the three activities. And of course, the axis is composition of poetry. Now, when we talk about bird watching, ornithology, see, there is movement so far as getting up of a bird is concerned, chirping of birds in dawn, and then nest building, food habits, fluttering of wings, and see, it implies various connotation. See, the mood of bird, she is expressing her affection or she is hesitant. I mean, different kind of observations made by a bird watcher. Likewise, in the issue matter of love making, see the temperament of beloved and whether she is convinced, her nature, qualities, expectations, and intensity of love. It requires much time. The way of expression and see, giving positive responses, or say sometimes there may be, say, interaction, communication, or level of understanding. So the word, try to understand, students, movement, it's not confined to one or two aspects only. So it requires deeper understanding, and we have several connotations. And then, these three steps. First, be it bird watcher or a poet or a lover. What are these three steps? Observation, process, procedure, various steps and stages, and then that lead to achievement, success, or final. Now, the axis. Now we would discuss the axis of entire poem, and what's that? Composition of poem. Now, when we talk about movement, and more specifically, Nizam Askel, when he tends to discuss the metaphor of movement. Now, in composition of poem, there is certain kind of movement. First, the poet, he has to wait for words and different ideas click in mind. Then he wants to make some sentences, and then technique, style, device, the kind of poem, and intensity of emotions, passions, and then different dimensions. So many ideas the poet wants to cover. So this is significant from the point of view of encapsulating various ideas. Now, he has also used the notion of words in the beginning. The poet, he or she may have treasure of words, what kind of words are required, and how to frame sentence, not only framing the sentences, but metrical composition, the melody, the lyrical aspect, and the intonation, and that intonation that suits expressions and emotions. And all that is prerequisite in writing a poem, good poem rather. So, movement word, it has deeper meaning and different connotations. So, movement, then the poet, he has also, movement of a timid wing. The poet, obviously, he has used the phrase here, timid wing. It is, associated with watching bird maybe sometime timid, very, she is fearful, she's frightened, she's submissive, hesitant. And it depends on the kind of movement, fluttering of wings. Sometimes when she is very happy, then chirping of birds, and building nest, and then community feeling in birds, then when they tend to chant songs and queen chorus. So all these ideas. So timid, the word obviously movement. And see, this is the style technique that the poet, he has highlighted. And until again, as in the beginning, we discussed the idea that he, in the beginning again, he has, mentioned the point of words, and that is here connected with this idea. What is the idea? Movement. Note the movement of a timid wing. It is, concerned not only with watching birds, but mind you, it is associated with composition of poem and also the matter of love making simultaneously. This is the exactly the tactic that poet has used, and that is really remarkable, and you must comprehend this kind of idea that poet wants to convey. And again, the word, until word. And here I would like to, highlight in this, say the way, see the movement and movement, metaphor of movement, bird watching, and this observation. And this is what I have discussed, achievement and process and steps. And time is always dominating factor, when the poet, he talks about why the love and hill. See the, in this here, the poet, when he talks about these 2 points. And what are these 2 points? See, until the one who knows that she is loved. The poet starts with timid wing, bird watching, which is, and again he comes to the point of the matter of love. She is loved means she is convinced, and this is, again, concerned with achievement of goal. She is the beloved. So again, simultaneously, try to comprehend the idea, and no longer waits but risks surrendering. Surrendering again when she accepted love. And rather, this is associated with the, again, yes, conscious mind of bird watcher, poet, and love. So why it is associated with hill when the poet talks about the hill, and in the previous line? Because what is the reason? Even in writing poetry, hill, which is in remote areas, it requires much concentration and calm and quiet atmosphere, and the conscious mind of the poet. So we have metaphor of hill in that, and we have symbolical significance of it when the poet talks about steps and stages in writing poetry. And until denotes the period of time and duration in the aforementioned activities. Now, see, when he talks about duration and period, so there may be various steps and stages. Steps, and when we talk about steps and stages, we would talk about the, say, making efforts, and level of understanding, and impressing bird, beloved, and yes, say catching words, sentences, melodious sentences and lines, stanza, quatrains, couplet, and emphatic expressions in poetry, and showing your qualities. And then we have giving positive responses, expressions, interaction, all this until. So this is, until means time period, and it leads to the achievement of goal. Therefore, this is in this last three lines of first stanza. The poet, when he says no longer waits but risks surrendering, why he has pointed out? Because this is the result of waiting, and you can very well understand the idea of it. And here surrendering implies what? Acceptance of love. And she may have different opinion regarding how risk here, obviously the danger in that, the kind of the path in which you have to face sometimes struggle, or what kind of nature, what kind of temperament, disposition, different aspects of. But ultimately, when you make efforts, strenuous efforts, when you are diligent, if you are determined, then you would definitely achieve the goal. You would get success. Therefore, surrendering word here, not only it is used for the issue of love. Surrendering here, all three activities, bird watching, and even in poetry, means when the poet, he is filled with different ideas, and spontaneously he feels like writing. So he has an inner urge to write a poem. So therefore, surrendering word, it's not limited to one activity. So this is what exactly you have to understand properly. And in this, the poet, he finds his moral proved. Now in this stanza, in this first stanza, the crux of the poem is in this: the moral proved, the justified. And see, there is some ethicality in writing poem, in watching bird, and in the issue of love. So this moral in this task is very, very important. Unless and until you have some moral, is there any justification? So moral justified is again the idea that poet wants to convey. And the final line, in particular in this stanza, who never spoke before his spirit moved. Again, the word spirit, it is implied. What it implies? The spiritual dimension in one's life. The poet here, the sum and substance of the first stanza, it is the poet finds some moral proved in which it reflects the justification of what? Gaining goal and your achievement of your aim, and it leads to success. And how it is possible? When you follow proper steps and you make observation, when you have patient waiting, and when you have perseverance, and when you make strenuous efforts. So all these qualities and virtues, they are very important so far as writing poetry and love making and bird watching are concerned. We'll continue the point. Thank you.